Alrighty, first I would like to thank you for purchasing Crossover Symmetry, but I guarantee your shoulders will thank you more. It doesn't matter if you're trying to take your sport or training to the next level, or just keeping up with an active lifestyle. Crossover Symmetry will immediately change how your shoulders feel and move. We are always striving to improve our protocols and equipment through research and innovation. As part of this, there are many new features available in our online training platform. Additionally, subscribe to our newsletter and follow us on social media to stay up to date with our newest releases, course schedule, and continuing education.
My name is Matt Umpay. I'm the Director of Training and Education here at Crossover Symmetry. Welcome to the CS Essentials module. This is going to lay out a program that's specific to your goal, and we're going to achieve that in either our pain track or our performance track. So the pain track is your at-home self-rehab program. Our goal here is to walk you through the necessary steps to get ahead of your shoulder pain and fix the cause in just 30 days. Then the second track is our performance track. If you don't have shoulder pain, or if you just completed the pain track, you are ready for the performance track. And here we're going to show you how to integrate the Crossover Symmetry system into your sport or your training. It's going to be best to just walk through the full training using your arms and mimic the movements just as I show you in the video. So you don't even need cords at this point. So if you're still waiting on your equipment to show up and you want to get moving, that's awesome. You're just going to mimic me, and it's going to be a great way to get an understanding of the movement and even find some benefit of just contracting those muscles. And you'll be well on your way when you have your cords in hand. So as part of the initial full training, you're going to learn how to modify in case of pain. And then you're also going to learn many common mistakes to avoid with the exercises. Then when it's time to start using the cords, just simply follow along with me in the in-action videos found at the end of each program section. Now, review the rest of the videos in the on-ramp section, and if you don't have equipment yet, again, no big deal. You can just come back to these videos as soon as your equipment arrives, so you know how to set it up right and do everything as you're supposed to. But I want you to head to either the pain or performance track and make sure you understand your program before you get moving. All right, we'll see you soon. All right, team, welcome back. It's Matt again, and here we're going to talk a bit about the exercise chart. So this is going to be a great visual aid. It's going to help you identify how to do the program correctly. Now, everything you need is right here on this chart, but it's not going to replace the training you receive from watching the videos. So I encourage you, just watch the videos, and this chart will make complete sense. You're going to read this like a book, from top to bottom and then left to right. And the very first thing you'll notice is the attachment point, and that's going to be either eye level or a knee level attachment. And then you're going to see the name of the exercise. Followed by that is the correct cord selection. That's either going to be H for a heavy or an L for light. And then the key here at the bottom of the chart is going to identify the correct resistance by color for your strength level. Now, a note on this, you'll find on the back side, the strength program is going to offer 2 resistance options for the heavy cord. We'll talk a bit more about choosing the right resistance in a separate video, but just know that the strength program has 2 resistance options for the heavy. And the next thing you'll notice after that, the exercise images and movement cues. These are going to be simple reminders about how the movement is performed as we taught you in the video training. And then lastly, note here the number of reps to do for each exercise for the program you're following. And that is going to be total number of repetitions. So for example, 20 would be 10 reps on the right and then 10 reps on the left. Also on the back side of the chart, you're going to find our mobility program. And on that program, you'll see the image with the red dots on them. Okay? So those are common trigger points, so tight areas. And I want you to use your mobility stack or other tool to apply pressure and movement there. Underneath those images with the red dots, you'll find suggested movements you should follow as you're going through the program to target those trigger points. Hey there, welcome back. In this section, we're going to talk about the cord selection and dialing in the resistance options. So, the crossover cords are going to come in different resistance options. You're going to need a heavy set of cords and a light set of cords to do this program correctly. That heavy set of cords is going to target the larger scapular muscles, whereas the lighter set of cords is going to target the smaller rotator cuff muscles. As I mentioned, those cords are color coordinated to represent different resistance options, and to make it really easy for you, divide it into 3 resistance packages: the novice level, athletic level, and the elite level. But before we get into resistance recommendations, I just want to talk quickly about choosing the right resistance. And this can be extremely important for maximizing your results with the program. So you should choose the resistance, obviously, by how to perform the movement correctly. If it's too heavy, you're just going to feel like you're not even doing it right. But it also needs to match the intended stimulus. If you are doing a program like Activation, Activation Plus, or Recovery, and these are about rehab or recovery or getting your body warmed up for your activity, it should feel smooth and dynamic. You don't want to be straining in these programs. A good test for this is just do the program without the chords and then evaluate your technique with the chords. If you're doing those first programs, the technique should really be the same. But for a program like Strength, this needs to be pushed a little bit. Maybe every rep isn't perfect, and you should feel like you're working really hard when you're doing this to keep everything held together. But it is important. The mechanics don't break down and you don't completely fall apart. So finding yourself, pushing yourself a bit but not melting down is the key there. Now, when you look at the chart, the first level is going to be Novice Package. The Novice Package is going to use the yellow cord for the heavy and the green cord for the light. So that's going to be 10 pounds and 3 pounds in resistance. And we generally recommend Novice for our youth athletes who are starting with the system. Also, those who are rehabbing shoulder pain, especially shoulder pain that limits you in normal daily activities. And then also smaller or lighter athletes tend to feel more comfortable with this resistance package as well. And the next level up is our athletic package. It uses red cords and purple cords, and this 15 pounds and 7 pounds in resistance. The athletic package is definitely our most popular resistance package for both male and female users. If you don't fit the description of novice and you don't find yourself as an elite user, athletic would be a great place to start. That's going to include most high school athletes and adult fitness members. And then lastly, we have our elite package. It uses blue cords and yellow cords. That's going to be 25 pounds and 10 pounds in resistance. This is definitely our elite level, so we recommend this for our healthy athletes and those who are competing at a super high level, but also they have extensive experience weightlifting and they move really well. So even our elite, strong, super high level athlete sometimes needs to drop down in resistance because they need to build movement pattern without compensation first. Then they move up into this bigger package. In addition to that, we also find that bigger athletes, so if you're just a really big person, you'll probably use that elite package a bit better than a lighter person. So there you go, guys. A bit about the crossover cords. I hope you help dial in that resistance a bit more. Now we're almost through with the on-ramp section. Head to that next section, and we'll keep it going. Hey there, Matt here, and welcome to the guidelines section. So obviously doing the exercises correctly is going to be essential to getting the most out of the crossover symmetry system. So I'm going to help you set that up right here for every exercise you do. You're going to want to start by centering yourself between the attachment points. You're going to want to crisscross the cords. So the cord on your right will be in your left hand, and then the cord on your left will be on your right hand. If you're doing this correctly, you'll see that X form between you and the attachment point. I know it's rocket science, that's why we call it crossover symmetry. So make sure you tell your friends to cross over the cords. Now in the starting position, you should have tension on those cords. So with the arms outstretched, you should have a little bit of tension, just pulling forward towards the attachment points. If there's too much slack in the cords and you don't find that resistance to start the movement, just scoot back a bit. And then on the flip side, if you're standing too far back, you're going to notice that the sleeve of that cord is actually going to bottom out before you get to the in range. It's a clear sign. Just scoot up a bit. You'll find that happy medium between the two. Now for each exercise, you're going to maintain athletic posture. Kind of demoing it here pretty well, I would say. Slight bend in the knees and hips. You want a stable and neutral spine. And then also want you to work on pulling that chin back. So creating some length for your neck. And then when you're doing the movements, moving with a controlled pace is going to be important for the quality and efficiency of the exercise program. So make sure you follow this controlled pace and make sure you're maintaining your proper form during every rep you do. You'll follow along in the in-action videos at the end of the program section. It's going to show you the proper pace we want you performing each movement. So I encourage you to just follow along and follow that pace. And then most importantly, you should not have any pain when performing the exercises. If you do experience pain, I encourage you to immediately stop and then go check out the pain track for more information on ending your shoulder pain. Now, when going through the training, I'm going to show you the proper way to perform the exercises, and then I'm also going to show you common mistakes that we see with the movements. So these common mistakes, they're often a result of something called a compensation pattern. And basically this means you're relying on stronger muscles to do all of the work. So you're just covering up these smaller stabilizers with the strength of those big, strong movers. If you have a hard time getting out of these compensation patterns and getting out of these common mistakes we see, just drop down to a lighter resistance. It's really easy. And that's going to allow you to dial in those smaller movers. Now, before we move forward, I'm going to cover some common mistakes that we see when doing the crossover symmetry exercises. I really want you to work on eliminating these things. Okay? If you're allowing these just basic mistakes to creep into the program, it's going to rob you of the results that you're looking for. Now, the first thing I want you to avoid is a poor setup. I've already talked about this. Okay? You want to stand upright, then engage the neutral spine, the hands up high, shoulders engaged, ready to go. Okay, so when you're starting the movement, it does not mean that your shoulders are retracted. So shoulder blades are not pulled back, ready to go. The shoulder's just turned on. So the shoulder bone is just pulled into the socket there. Now, another common mistake we see with the posture is a hyperextension of lower back. We often see that athletes are missing this range of motion that allow that back to arch. You're going to even see this in our athlete in the demonstration, Zach. Okay? He's a great, phenomenal athlete. We tend to see a little bit too much overextension in that low back. So really work on keeping those abs tight as you go through the movements. Now, the second thing we see is that missing that cross-body pattern. So there's no crossover at all, or some people use a single attachment point. And I'm going to ask you, just trust us on this. That cross-body pattern is really important to the movements. So make sure you get that set up correct. Now, third, you may be starting with no tension on the quads. So you're standing too close to the attachment pieces. Now, when you're beginning the movement, and remember, you want a little bit of tension to engage against. Don't cheat the movement by starting too close. A lot of people think, oh, I just need heavier bands. And that's not necessarily correct. You may just need to scoot back a bit. Now, lastly, you should be moving with a controlled pace. So the pull of the movement, so the go back is going to be 1 count. You're going to hold it for 2 counts, and then 2 counts back to the start. These are just approximations. You don't necessarily need a stopwatch. Just simply move in controlled manners. And remember, we do offer that in-action video, so just follow along at first, and that's going to give you a good feel for the pace. Now, many people ask, can I do other exercises along with the crossover symmetry system? The answer is yes, absolutely. We're even going to provide some extra things in our social media. If you follow our newsletter, you also find things in our training zone. But crossover symmetry is going to be your foundation. That's going to be the preparation for those more advanced extra exercises. So don't add in things that interfere with the consistency of doing crossover symmetry. Okay, that's going to be, again, your foundation for shoulder movement. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you in the next section.